Hello, and thank you for taking the time for watching this short video with us. My name is Andrew Moore and I'm the Borough Solicitor at the London Borough of Camden, and also relevant to this video, I'm Camden's Statutory Data Protection Officer. I'm here at Ackland Burley School, and for which my thanks to the school for allowing us to be here today, and also thanks to the students and pupils here who are preparing and doing this video for us. I'm joined by Kat Miller, who's the Director of Operations here. Hello, Kat. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Andrew.
No, it's my pleasure to have you. We're here to talk about data protection. The term data protection covers a number of things. It covers the data that the school holds about people, about pupils, about staff, dates of birth, addresses, but also very important in a school setting as well is the fact that schools have got the right, and in fact sometimes have to, share information with other bodies when we're talking about protecting people. With data protection and the fact that you do as a school, in all schools, hold incredibly sensitive and personal data, that schools have to be incredibly careful about how they use that data and how they look after it for people. Failure to keep that data safe at the very least damage is embarrassing, and ultimately bring the status and reputation of the schools down.
Yes, that's right. And we, as you said, hold quite a lot of different sorts of information in schools. Personal data in particular might include identity details, names and titles and roles of pupils, parents, staff, both current pupils and former pupils. Also contact details such as addresses and telephone numbers, and information about pupils' behaviour, attendance. So you can see quite how sensitive a lot of the information that we handle is. So it's really important that we hold that information as carefully as we can, that we follow the rules that we're provided with, often by you, by your team, and that we look after it as best that we can. For example, double checking information that we're sending out. We send a lot of information by email, so are the attachments right? Are the email addresses right? Have we got the right people included in that communication?
So what you're really saying is a kind of, before you send something, stop, look, think.
Absolutely, yes. I think that's really important. It can be really easy if you've got two people in your contact list with quite similar names, then it's really easy to accidentally click the wrong button or send the wrong attachment. So just double checking that before sending is really important.
So whilst we try and avoid them, mistakes are occasionally bound to happen. So the question for us really is, what do we do if an email, like you're talking about, goes to the wrong person or the wrong attachment goes to the wrong person? The message is, don't panic, but do act really quickly when this happens. First report it to your school's lead for data protection, who will then themselves report it to the school's DP team, who as soon as possible via their email, which is schoolsdpo@camden.gov.uk. You will likely also need to make some sensible mitigating steps. Get advice first as to what they might be and what might help most really in the circumstances. That might be contacting the person you've sent the wrong email to, see if they will just immediately delete it, things like that. You have to move really quickly because the person whose data we've mishandled, well, we owe them that duty to try and protect them and for the damage to be as little as possible. A mistake has been made, but don't make it worse by not doing anything. Don't sit on it, don't try and pretend it never happened. Get on it really quickly, report it, because the quicker you report it, the more likely we are that we can reduce the damage to zero. Are there any other things that come up often?
Yeah, one of the things we get asked a lot is whether we need consent from the child or the parent to share information about them. For example, with social workers or with the police.
Right, well the answer to that is no, you don't. Particularly when those matters relate to safeguarding issues for the child or others. The Information Commissioner's Office released some really helpful guidance recently, which just emphasised that when we're about safeguarding, when we're about protecting people, then we can share that information, because the sharing of that information is often crucial in allowing that person to be kept safe. The key thing is for anyone doing that is to keep a record of what they've shared. Be clear to share the minimum, just what's needed, not more, not excess stuff, just what's needed. And also keep a record of why they've shared it. Because it's important later on, if anyone comes and questions it, that explain why we've done that. The other thing schools should do, if they haven't already done, is check their privacy notice. And as everyone will know, that's the thing that normally on the website, which explains when you share information, just to make it clear that you will do that in those circumstances.
Right, okay, thank you. Well, linked to that, on the safeguarding point, another question we get quite often is when a parent asks for information about the child that they have parental responsibility for, can they have copies of everything about that child? And one of the concerns a school might have is if the child has disclosed something to the school and they're worried about parents knowing that thing.
Right. Yeah, this is more tricky and difficult than it sounds, actually. What we have to remember is that information, that data actually belongs to the child. In law, the parent or the guardian or whoever's looking after them is using it really until the child themselves is old enough to take care of themselves and make those decisions. So in those sorts of circumstances, particularly where there's information in there that you might be worried about, it's really one of those things it's best to take advantage.
So what about when a parent consents to child's pictures being used by the school, for example, for publicity, but either the other parent objects or the child objects?
Yeah, absolutely. Another potentially tricky situation. I think my rule of thumb on this is you're looking for the child and all relevant parents or those with parental responsibility to agree, really. When children get to a certain age, they do have the right then to make decisions about themselves. You know, the Gillick competency that teachers are all very aware of. They get that right to do it. But actually, in the real world, you're looking for those with parental responsibility to also agree. The reverse of that is if the parents do agree and the young person doesn't. I wouldn't use the photos in those circumstances because obviously they're the people you deal with day after day, and I would definitely make sure they were happy as well. One thing to say though, if you do need a photo, for example, for security reasons for a pass, then you don't need that permission because you need that photograph. You have a legitimate reasons for it. But again, if it's something I can explain clearly to people, you are going to do that and why you're going to do that, so that people understand this is a necessity, really, rather than the choice of the office of school. Are there any other things do you think worth mentioning?
I think my main message really is about the care that we need to take when handling personal data, and about the time taken to check and just double check before sending any information out to make sure that we are sending the right information to the right person before hitting send or other communication. I work in a busy school, so I do understand the pressures and how things can go wrong, but I think taking that little bit of time and getting advice about the right approach can really help to avoid errors happening.
I couldn't agree more. I think it's very hard to think of other organisations that carry as much sensitive and personal data as schools have to have, and therefore it really is incumbent on everyone to, as you said, think, stop, be careful, think again, check, take advice when dealing with it. It's about protecting the person that's trusted the school to hold that data for them. But even without that, it's also about the school's reputation and about people trusting the school in the future. And ultimately, it's about the Information Commissioner's Office. We're very powerful, and we don't want to go there. We don't want to damage anyone, we don't want to hurt anyone. We want to be careful with the data, and we want to handle it correctly.